Part 15. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 142. Chapter 142, The Frizzy Grandma. As soon as Yanking heard this, he agreed on the spot. Well, if you want to repair the house, just take it and I will go with you to the village chief's house to transfer the ownership later. That piece of land was not big, and it took dozens of work points to get it back. It's not a big deal if Ans wants it or gives it to him. That can't be done. We have to negotiate a price. How can I take advantage of you? Brother Ching is like this. He doesn't care about anything and is very practical. Ans looked at Brother Ching's reaction and knew what he was going to say, so he immediately interrupted him. If you don't think about yourself, think about my sister-in-law and nephews. My nephews are not young anymore. It's time to go to school. Yanking's wife, who was standing aside, turned red when she heard this. Her man was good at everything, but he was too uncontested. In today's society, there is no struggle for a way to survive. Unlike in the past, the amount of effort one exerts can bring in as much wealth as possible. Yanking glanced at his wife, and when he saw a little sadness on her face, he sighed. Okay, listen to Ans, and I will sell the land to you. Yes, it's time to think about the children and the wife. Yanking has not given birth to many children. He only has one son, who is 6 years old this year. He will have to go to school in the second half of next year, but his family. It's not that he can't afford to support his children and wife, but that his income alone is only so much. That's right, brother, let me take advantage of that place. Can I give you 300 yuan? Ans also estimated that the foundation was very solid and the area was quite large. It was at least 500 or 600 square meters, 300 yuan. The bucks are not expensive. Yanking and his wife were dumbfounded when they heard so much money. Is it too much? They said in unison. It's not expensive, it's not expensive. Ans hurriedly spoke, fearing that they would not want it. The foundation is solid. If we use it, we don't have to rework. This saves a lot of money. If you build a foundation yourself, it will cost no less than 500 yuan, of course, plus buying the foundation in the village. Is it really that much? Yanking's wife couldn't believe it. She had never seen so much money. Here, but sister-in-law, I think it's better for you not to tell anyone about the money. Brother Ching and sister-in-law are both honest people. In the words of grandma, they are pitiful people. If this money is passed around, their family will probably not be able to live happily again. Oh, I know. Yanking's wife saw this more clearly than Yanking, and she glared at her man. Yanking felt a little embarrassed and touched his nose. If you don't say anything, I'll just say and give you 50 yuan. 50 yuan is too little, and Ans can't lose his reputation. Just say 100 yuan, and you can keep the money for yourself. 100 yuan is not much, but it is still a lot. At least the base on the middle of the mountain is not very valuable in the eyes of the villagers. No matter what, not everyone can sell this land. Now it would be a great thing to be able to sell it for 100 yuan. Okay, just listen to Ans. Yanking acted as soon as he was told, dropped what he was doing, got up, put on some clothes, and took Ans to the village chief's house. As soon as the village chief sent his nephew away, he saw Ans and Yanking walking over. What's wrong? Seeing that An Ching's expression was not right, the village chief hurriedly stepped forward and asked. Yanking hesitated for a long time before he could explain clearly, which made the village chief a little confused. Didn't you say you bought a mountain to build a house? Why did you buy the foundation of your brother An Ching's house again? The village chief asked worriedly. Ans smiled and said, it's not that the mountain is too expensive. I think the foundation of Brother Ching's house is under the mountain. If the price is too high by then, I won't buy the mountain. As if no one is a human being. Maybe Hans didn't think of it at first, But just now, seeing the village chief's face, Hians immediately said worriedly. The village chief also had some calculations in his heart. Originally, he was jealous of the improvement of a poor family in the village. He was jealous and wanted to make some money from buying the mountain. But now it seems. Ans, you don't believe me. I've already told you to help you with the matter. Why are you in such a hurry? The village chief called the two of them into the main room. It's okay, Brother Ching's foundation doesn't have much money, I can still buy it with half a year's salary. The meaning is simple, I have no money. Half a year's salary is quite a lot, and Ching the village chief has his own plans and doesn't want to be cut off. They are all members of his own family. Don't let your brother suffer. The price is not expensive. Go. Hianking is not as smart as the village chief, but he is an honest person. Uncle village chief, don't worry, I will give Ans 100 yuan without overselling it. The foundation of his house is not small. Hearing the price, the village chief wanted to say it was not expensive, but if the foundation was beside a stream. But halfway up the mountain, you might not be able to sell even 50 yuan. The village chief glared at Hianking. Isn't 100 yuan expensive? Hianking felt a little crazy. Fortunately, he didn't tell the village chief that Ans gave him 300 yuan, otherwise. Uncle village chief, it's not Brother Ching's fault. It's not easy for Brother Ching. His son will go to school next year, and the family's expenses are also high. 100 yuan is only half a year's salary for me. They are all my brothers. Don't talk about it. This. Haha, let's play and surf, no one is afraid of whom. Seeing that they had made up their mind, the village chief's words of persuasion seemed a little ugly. He lowered his face, wrote the document, and stamped it with his seal. Here, in triplicate, one for each of you in the village. After getting the documents, Hians immediately took out 100 yuan and handed it to Hianking. It also means asking the village chief to be a witness. After leaving the village chief's house, Hians went to Hianking's house and gave him another 200 yuan. Hianking didn't want to take it, but he couldn't resist Hians's mouth. In the end, I accepted it and kept this feeling in mind. When he returned home, he was just in time for lunch at home. Hians felt that he was a great hero, and he started to show off as soon as he came back. Yo, you're so capable, you actually got the foundation next to it. Seeing the paper shaking in front of her eyes, Mei Shui took a glance and wrote it down. What, Grandma? He was lighting the fire, and she immediately became furious when she heard Xiaoxiu's words. Why did you buy the foundation of his house? That old woman was not easy to get along with. Why can't you buy it? It's right next to our house. It would be a waste to leave it empty. When the time comes, Xiaoxiu won't be afraid of running out of land to build as big a house as she wants. He had already seen that his wife wanted to renovate the house. Mei Shui was happy. Suppose you are discerning, I'm still thinking about asking Grandma to ask about it sometime. That's right, she had been eyeing the place next to it for a long time. Grandma, he finally understood. You guys, just do it. If you have some money, just do it. How much did it cost? Finally, I couldn't help but ask. After Hian said 300 yuan, Grandma, he never put down the iron pliers in her hand. Get your votes. There is one more chapter that will be a little late, and the author has to stay up late to code again. I have a headache. Please vote for recommendations, monthly votes, and rewards. Thank you, dear friends. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 143. Chapter 143, Once Upon a Time added more. The Chinese New Year is coming soon, and Hians was given a good meal during the Chinese New Year. Grandma, he had been injured in many places on her body. Finally, I went to the village doctor's house to get some medicine. Grandma, he also asked me to get this. Originally, Mei Shui said it was not needed, so she could just use some spiritual spring water. Can't resist grandma's drive to drive people away. So, another happy thing happened during such a joyful day as the New Year. That is, Hians bought the foundation of He Anking's house and was beaten by Aunt He San, grandma, who also broke into the village doctor's house. When they heard about this, many people laughed at Hians behind his back, saying that he had money but no land to spend, so he bought a piece of worthless land. Many people had a happy New Year's Eve. On the 30th night, Mei Shui could no longer bear to ask her grandma, "Grandma, why do you have to make such a big fuss?" When she saw Aunt Zillion and the others coming to see Hians at home, Mei Shui was not stupid and saw some clues, but she didn't understand them all. "Silly boy, don't show off your wealth. The people in the village are not as nice as you think. They eat people without spitting out their bones. They are very vicious, grandma," he pointed out. "Tell you a story, grandma." He became interested. Speaking of the past, the story did not happen many years ago. Grandma he also experienced this herself. In a village not far outside Hejia village, there was a landowner before the reform. His family was considered the most wealthy household in Chenxin town. I don't know how many people are envious, let alone how many people are jealous. In the villages that are close to rich families, it can be said that everyone is envious of the life of rich families. Have meat to eat every day, and have new clothes every day. The good times did not last long, and the great reforms came, making the life of this wealthy family uneasy. Rich families don't know that they are really as rich as the rumors say, or that they have such a good life. Their family is very friendly to the people in the surrounding villages. Even so, they cannot stop the schemes of those jealous people. Not long after, the rich family was arrested and their property was confiscated, but no one found a grain or silver in the rich family's house. Even the rich families themselves wear very ordinary clothes, nothing like the rich family. This makes many people not believe it. From the initial parade to the severe torture, 3 months passed unknowingly. The wealthy family owner who was severely tortured did not let go and finally left. His wife and children were detained incommunicado one by one and tortured to extract confessions until the wealth of his family was found. What a pity, the whole family is dead, crazy, and stupid. In the end, everyone was still worried. Some people went to the rich family's house together and knocked down the house. They dug the ground 3 feet but couldn't find any food or property. Just like that, the above document came down, and the rich were not allowed to be ill-treated. Unfortunately, everyone died, and only one stupid son survived in the family of 5. In the first 1 or 2 years, the fool was still living under everyone's nose. Unfortunately, 2 years later, the fool knew nothing but being stupid. Some people do not believe in evil and think that the fool is pretending to be stupid, so they feed him shit. When they see him actually eating it, those people truly let the rich man's son go. Another year passed and the fool disappeared. No one looked for him at that time, but unfortunately no one found him. Why did Grandma he tell them this? It was because when everyone had no food to eat, who didn't receive relief from the rich? But what is the final result? The rich man died. The son is a fool. A good and wealthy family just disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Even the ancestral homes of wealthy households have now become fertile farmland for others. After hearing this story, Hians had some impressions because he seemed to have heard it mentioned before when he was a child. The people in their village all looked regretful that they had not found anything. But he didn't know much. Mei Shui felt that it was normal, human nature is like this. "Grandma, don't worry, no one dares to make trouble for our family, just take care of one of them, or a pair of them, don't be afraid." Mei Shui thought that Grandma was afraid of those people coming to cause trouble. Gently hugged Grandma's shoulders as a comfort. Hians glanced at Mei Shui, as if he understood what she meant. He chuckled and shook his head. "I'm still here, don't worry." I don't know whether to comfort Grandma or Mei Shui. I have the nerve to say that it's because of you. If it weren't for you, would our family have all these troubles? It's time to spend so much money to buy a base. Mei Suedeo agreed very much with the purchase of the base, so she defended Hians and said, "Grandma, it's good to buy it. When we build it into a two-story building like Uncle Jennan's house, you can live upstairs and enjoy the high view." To be honest, Mei Shui really likes An Cheng's small building. It is a two-story wooden building with many rooms, and it is spacious and bright. She also plans to raise more pigs and chickens. Mei Shui has a plan for a farm in her mind, but this small amount of land is actually not enough. She feels good if she can buy all the surrounding items. Just protect him. I don't know how many people are calling him stupid now, Grandma. He rolled her eyes at Hians in annoyance. It's okay, Grandma. If you buy it, it will be your own. I will build you a beautiful two-story building when the time comes, Hian said to save his life. The New Year's Eve dinner has passed like this, and there is no such thing as a night watch. However, they had to get up early on New Year's Day to worship their ancestors, so Grandma He asked the two of them to go to bed early. Mei Shui and Hians helped Grandma get water to wash up before returning to their house. Do you really think it's good for me to buy that foundation? In fact, he had been thinking about it. Even Mei Shui would not agree with what she was doing. Very good. If possible, it would be a good thing to buy the 3 hills behind the house. Unfortunately, our family doesn't have enough money, Mei Shui sighed. Hians was stunned for a moment. What do you mean? He walked up to Mei Shui and looked at her with a smile. You always thought I said the price of buying a mountain is the hilltop you farm on. He thought that his wife had always been smart and courageous, but he didn't expect that there were things she didn't dare to think about. Yes, Mei Shui was a little confused. Haha, Xiaoxiu, that mountain is not a mountain of gold and silver. Why do you want so much money? I'm talking about the 3 hills connected behind our house. These hills are not big. There is no harvest on them, even the trees. There are only a few. How can it be so expensive? Land in rural areas is the least valuable thing nowadays. With this money, it is better to buy a house in the city. Of course, that's what he thought before. Huh, Mei Shui put down the clothes in her hands. So you told the village chief that the hills behind our house are all the hills you want to buy. Don't blame her for being surprised, she really didn't expect it. Yes, Hians nodded firmly. That's great. I'm also thinking about buying the other 2 hills when I have enough money. Then I will open up some land and grow vegetables. I will make a lot of money in a year. Mei Shui was excited. Calculate the accounts. Just finished coding, don't forget to vote. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 144. Chapter 144, Chinese New Year. You bought the mountain just to grow vegetables. Hians was a little confused when he heard her words. Yes, look at how good our vegetables are growing. If we grow more varieties, we will make more money. Grandma will definitely be happier. Counting the money. Catching animals in the mountains is not a long-term solution. Besides, there are not many animals on the mountain here. If you accidentally catch them all, you won't be able to eat wild game in the future. This is also the reason why she wants to farm. If conditions permit, she would like to buy a piece of land under her home and cultivate it into a fish pond. Fish farming is a very profitable thing. Unfortunately, Yola can't stray too far from home for fear of being stolen. She is still very wary of people in the village, and there is no need for Grandma to say more about this. Meixiu was very wary of not only the villagers, but also everyone in the village. People who were close to her would not have been able to say more than a few words to others if it hadn't been for her grandma. So you make money just for Grandma to count for fun? Hyans felt that his ears were a bit bad. Mei Shui nodded sincerely, yes, don't you think the way grandma counts money is cute? Thinking of grandma counting money, the corners of Mei Shui's lips curled up unconsciously. Daughter-in-law, you are so kind. Hyans also felt sorry for his grandma, but when he saw that his wife only had grandma in her heart, he would be jealous. But can you leave a place for me in your heart? Why? Mei Shui pushed him away angrily. Without grandma, I'm afraid I wouldn't be where I am now. On this point, Mei Shui was very clear. Even if this man will stay with her for the rest of her life, or be the father of her children, he can't compare to grandma. And having children is also because grandma likes it. She herself felt that her children were weak and needed to be protected. In the past, she would stay as far away as possible. Just like Sister Lixia's son, she doesn't like him very much and thinks she can kill him with one hand. Too weak. I know that grandma is the best to you, but I am your man, so you have to love me. Hyans felt aggrieved. I don't love you. Mei Shui is very honest. No, wife, let's discuss it. Do not love. Daughter-in-law, just love me. Do not love. Daughter-in-law, I have a way to make you fall in love with me. On New Year's Eve, every house is full of fragrance, and on the morning of the first day of the Lunar New Year, every household also hears the sound of joyful New Year greetings. It's a pity that Mei Shui didn't get to meet her in this scene. Because it was too much to seek a beast, he let her sleep until noon. Fortunately, no one came to visit her on the first day of the first lunar month to pay New Year greetings. They all stayed at home, otherwise Mei Shui would have blushed. You kid, please be gentle with your wife. Grandma, he complained about her grandson while eating breakfast. Hyans was wronged by his daughter-in-law last night, and now that he is rejected by his grandma, he feels even more aggrieved. Grandma, you only have your grandson's daughter-in-law in your heart. Grandma, he glared at Hyans angrily, if possible, you can be my grandson-in-law. Haha. Hyans is autistic. After breakfast, Hyans didn't plan to go out, so he just chatted with his grandma at home. It wasn't until Mei Shui woke up that the two of them stopped. Hyans came down from the firebox and immediately helped Mei Shui prepare food. Xiaoxiu, you have some snacks first, I will make lunch now. Looking at his fawning look, Mei Shui turned away angrily. Don't even pay attention to him. Seeing that his wife was so childish, Hyans felt that his method was quite good. Look, now he was the only one in his wife's eyes and heart. Grandma, he simply couldn't see it. This grandson was really embarrassed. Xiaoxiu, come here and warm yourself by the fire. Don't freeze. Eat first and then you'll eat later. Grandma, he hurriedly asked Mei Shui to come to her side. Just because I was afraid of freezing her. Then she didn't forget to glare at Hyans. Go and cook quickly, stew the chicken for me, and give Xiaoxiu a good meal. After saying this, Grandma, he held Mei Shui's hand and wouldn't let go. Xiaobai also hangs around Mei Shui, and Hyans is immediately isolated. The contrast should not be too obvious. Master, you woke up very late. I've already had breakfast. Xiaobai was small and jumped around. Mei Shui brought it up directly. Xiaobai usually loves to be clean, so on this snowy day there was no dirt on its feet. Grandma, he liked this very much. I also like to hold it and play with it. You little bastard, you'll be fat if you eat so much. Mei Shui hugged Xiaobai and patted his head angrily. Why are you fussing with it? Can it still laugh at you? Grandma, he smiled and rescued Xiaobai from Xiaoxiu's hands. She likes this sensible puppy now, but it's a worry if he doesn't grow taller if he eats too much. Grandma, you are partial. Mei Shui looked at Xiaobai with some dissatisfaction in her eyes. It dares to steal his favor. It seems that he is an enemy. Xiaobai's body was covered with hair, and a dangerous aura was approaching it. He looked at his master with innocent eyes and said, Master, Happy New Year, I wish you a Happy New Year. Oh, dog. Happy New Year, Grandma, I wish you a happy new year. When Mei Shui heard Xiaobai's words, she immediately thought that today is the Chinese New Year. Okay, 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 I wish Xiaoxiu will make a fortune this year and have a big baby. Grandma, he was also full of auspicious words. He Ans, who had been ignored, had already entered the kitchen lonely, intending to take good care of his wife and grandma. Make a delicious meal. Meixiu took out a red envelope from nowhere and said, "This is a New Year's red envelope from Grandma. I wish Grandma good health and good luck." Mei Shui didn't feel any embarrassment when her grandma mentioned the matter of holding a baby, but she became more and more suspicious of He-Ans. It had been so long and she still wasn't pregnant. Fortunately He-Ans is not here, otherwise he would have to be autistic again. Okay, thank you Xiaoxiu. Grandma, he accepted the red envelope very happily. She will of course accept the younger generation's filial piety. After talking and laughing for a while, He-Ans's voice appeared in the ears of the two of them. "Grandma, Xiaoxiu is coming over for dinner soon. Because he has prepared all the meals. Meixiu has been hungry for a long time. These sweets are not her cup of tea." When she hears the call to eat, she moves quickly. "Here we come," he responded to the outside world. After helping Grandma put on her shoes, Mei Shui helped her into the kitchen. The temperature in the kitchen where I had just finished cooking was quite high, so it would not be too cold when I sat at the table and ate. Mei Shui can tolerate both hot and cold weather because she has been exposed to hotter and colder weather. The dinner table was very sumptuous, and it was obvious that He-Ans had prepared the meal with great care. His cooking skills were pretty good, and Mei Shui wasn't picky and started eating right away. Xiaobai also has his own bowl with chicken bones in it. Well, he eats from the same pot as the host. How can it be different? Grandma, he was very satisfied with the first reunion dinner of the new year, except for a great-grandson, otherwise her life would have been even happier. After lunch, Xiaobai told Mei Shui some news. The vote is up. Those who subscribe, don't forget to vote for the month. Thank you. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 145. Chapter 145, Xiaobai's Treasure Hunt. That's the story Grandma told last night. It knows about it? Still know where that fool is. Meixiu was happy to hear this and said directly, "Then do you know where his family's treasures are?" She was not interested in people. Xiaobai nodded its little head. "I know, master, do you want it? Those things can't be eaten." Of course, upon hearing Xiaobai's words, Mei Shui immediately became excited. "Haha, with those treasures, I can exchange a lot of money back, and then I can buy more mountains, fields, and land. Well, a worthless woman." He-Ans saw his wife smiling and thinking for a while, so he patted her shoulder and asked, "Xiaoxiu, what's wrong with you?" Meixiu didn't intend to hide Xiaobai's matter. "Xiaobai said he knew where the fool's treasure was," she said directly. He-Ans was stunned when he heard this. "Xiaoxiu, you don't have a fever, right?" He directly touched Mei Shui's forehead. "Xiaobai is a dog, and it can't speak. How do you know what it's thinking?" He-Ans rolled his eyes at his wife in annoyance. But the worry on his face was not fake. "I know you want to make more money, but do you still have the treasure? Even if there is, it is hidden so deep that several people in the village have not found it, so Xiaobai can find it. It's not that he doesn't believe it, it's just that it's too difficult for him to believe. Xiaobai just knows it. If you don't believe it, let's go see it with it and find out." Mei Shui didn't want to argue with him. The facts should prevail. Who knows where it will go? Besides, Xiaoxiu, can you still understand the dog? He-Ans became really worried. "I don't understand." Mei Shui didn't lie to him. She couldn't understand what a dog said, and Xiaobai was not a dog. "It is a demon." Xiaobai refused to accept it, barked, bit He-Ans's pants and pulled them out. He-Ans was startled. "Xiaobai, what are you doing?" he was afraid that it would bite his pants, which were new pants his wife bought for him. It tells you to follow it and it will take you to find the treasure, Mei Shui explained kindly. Meixiu also planned to go and have a look. Xiaobai said it was not far away, so he could come back in time to make dinner. Let's go, and have a look with it. What can Hians do? His wife is serious, so he has to be serious. Xiaoxiu, what is the background of this little white guy? It's not like he had never heard of those legends when he was a child. What he is most worried about is the impact Xiaobai will have on his family. Don't worry. Seeing his worry, Mei Shui tightened the hand he had been holding. It won't hurt us. She had experienced this before. When they walked into the courtyard, they saw Grandma looking out of the firebox. Mei Shui was afraid that Grandma would worry about them, so she smiled and said, "Grandma, Hians and I are going for a walk." As soon as Grandma heard that the young couple wanted to go out to play, she immediately agreed, "Okay, let's go." Grandma is at home and won't go anywhere. After speaking, she smiled and put the quilt over her head. Looking at Grandma's cute little moves, Mei Shui felt very sweet in her heart. Hians also looked at his wife with a doting look on his face. She was the only one who could make Grandma look obedient. After leaving the yard, Xiaobai was still waiting in front. The two of them followed him without saying anything. I don't know how long Xiaobai has been leading the way, but now he is heading towards Chaotian Mountain. Mei Shui is a little confused. "No, Bai, will the fool's treasure be hidden on Chaotian Mountain?" Hians looked at Mei Shui asking Xiaobai. He looked confused, but he didn't ask any more questions. Xiaobai stopped and looked at the owner. "I don't know if he is still there, but that thing was hidden on the mountain a long time ago. Didn't you find any traces of artificial development on Chaotian Mountain? The master is so stupid. Can Mei Shui say that she didn't notice it?" "Guide your way." Mei Shui patted Xiaobai's head twice and said, "Let's go quickly." Man-made traces, haha, she couldn't see it. There were trees everywhere that she had never seen before. It would be strange to find them. Looking at the interaction between Mei Shui and Xiaobai, Hians felt that he had really seen a demon, but he did not dare to ask. Because he is afraid of getting the answer he is even more afraid of. They soon reached the top of the mountain. This time they took a different path than Mei Shui and the others took. The top of the mountain also had a different scenery. Looking down, the white snow is covering the entire mountain range. The scenery is magnificent. The sky and the earth are completely the same color. Only a piece of silver can be seen, as if the whole world is decorated with silver. You really can see far from a high position. Both of them were tempted by the snowy scenery in the mountains. Hians held Mei Shui's hand tightly. In his eyes, snow has always been a bad pronoun. But now standing with her and looking at the snow scene, Hians felt that it was a different scenery. "Xiaoxiu, you are as white as these snows, and I am your only stain." Hians' rare love words. Meixiu looked at him. She was wearing a thick cotton coat, but she had to say that her face was still very attractive. At least in her eyes, he was much better than the men in the base back then. "Oh, Stain, thank you for thinking about it. Okay, let's go." Xiaobai went forward. His good mood was stained by him. This world of ice and snow is really not suitable for romance. After Hian saw the disgust in his wife's eyes, he immediately put aside his previous feelings. Xiaobai led them into a cave. Arrived here, obvious traces of artificial excavation are obvious. But who would have thought that there would be another side on the top of this mountain? "Master, light the fire quickly, it's too dark inside to see." "It doesn't matter on its own, it can see at night, but the master and her man can't." Meixiu was stunned when she heard this. There was a torch in her space, which she had prepared for herself to enter the mountain, but now, she didn't want to take it out. "First, I don't want the space to be known by others, even if that person is my man. The second thing is that she doesn't need it." "What's wrong?" Seeing Xiaoxiu stop, Hians asked worriedly. It's too dark inside to see. Mei Shui decided not to take anything out from the space. The matter of space is her confidence and support. She will never reveal it in this life, no matter who this person is. This is the last defense in her heart. Then you follow me. He often walks at night and is not afraid of the dark. He is only afraid that some unknown creature will appear and hurt her. Mei Shui was very obedient and followed Hian's directly. Xiaobai was speechless and had no choice but to keep walking forward. The temperature became higher as he went inside, and the initial cold gradually receded. Hians opened his cotton-padded coat and asked, "Xiaoxiu, could Xiaobai have found the wrong place?" Hians was worried. Mei Shui also asked Xiaobai in her mind, but Xiaobai only said it would be soon. After walking for another 10 minutes or so, we finally reached the end. Xiaobai told Mei Shui that there was a coal lamp here and asked her to take out a match and light it. It's great to have a little white one. You can look after the house and hunt for treasures. Do you want one? End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 146. Chapter 146, Stealing the Small Yellow Croaker. This little thing can be explained when taken out. Mei Shui took it out without saying anything and lit one directly. Mei Shui was shocked when she saw what was in front of her clearly. Even she has never seen so many things, it's amazing. Xiaoxiu, give me the match. Hians was also frightened, but in his heart, his wife was more important. So, you can see people's hearts clearly at a critical moment. Here, Hian saw his heart clearly. Stand still, don't touch those things first. After so many years, who knows if the rich households back then have left any backup plans. Mei Shui nodded obediently, yeah. When Hian's lit the coal lamp he immediately returned to Mei Shui. Now the items in the small cave are clearly visible. Oh my god, Xiaoxiu, we are rich at this time, Hian's was excited. Mei Shui was stunned. Can these be exchanged for money? There is a lot of gold here, all in the form of gold bars, and some bottles and jars. She doesn't know much about these things, but she has seen some in books. Said these were valuable in the prosperous times. Of course, with all this gold we can buy the entire Hejia village. Hians took a deep breath and said, "Hurry up, let's take it away. Then we can sell it and count the money for grandma to play with," Mei Shui said seriously. Daughter-in-law Hians refused to admit that he was jealous again at this time, even if it was his grandmother. What for? Don't you want it? Yes, but we can't take them all away. We don't have a quesadilla at home. You forgot, our family needs to repair a house. Hians was afraid that Xiaoxiu would take away all the gold bars here. Seeing that her whole body lit up when she heard that she could change money. What if someone finds it here? Mei Shui was worried that someone would take it away. If she were alone, she could fit into the space, but... She was so angry that she glared at Xiaobai, but the blame in her eyes should not be too obvious. Xiaobai wanted to vomit blood. "Master, why do you blame me? You asked me to bring you here." Hian saw Xiaoxiu stunned and stepped forward to shake her. "Xiaoxiu, is Xiaoxiu okay?" "I'm fine." Mei Shui looked at Hian's. "Then what do you think we should do? Let's take some back first, and then we can come back to get it when we need the money at home. This place is so remote. If it were so easy to be discovered, I'm afraid it would have been discovered long ago. To the point where I don't have to worry about anyone discovering this place. Is this the only way?" Mei Shui was still worried. What is safest? Only in space? But she couldn't. The things here were discovered together with him. With his ability, it was easy to find out if there was anything missing here. That's the only way. Hians also wanted to take them all away, but he didn't hide them at home. "Well, I'll take the gold bars and take your bowls and plates back. It's time to change the bowls at home. These bowls and plates are pretty good looking." Hians doesn't know what antiques are, because those things are old and not valuable. "Okay, I'll take some dishes back first. Don't take too many. That thing is heavy. One piece weighs a pound. He still knew about this thing. Good. Hence, while holding the gold bar, Mei Shui used the space to collect the gold bar underneath into the space. Fortunately, the gold bars here seemed to be thrown in urgently. At this time, Mei Shui was very grateful to the wealthy family. After carrying almost 20 gold bars on her body, Mei Shui saw that the number of gold bars was no less than 2 levels lower, and she did not dare to take them in any more. I'll get 30. Mei Shui took off her cotton-padded clothes and used them directly to store the gold bars. Hians heard her words and glanced at Mei Shui. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that the gold bar seemed to be missing. Xiaoxiu, how much did you take? Some questions. Mei Shui was startled, turned her head and looked at Hians. Not many, about 30. Hearing her words, Hians was stunned. There is so much land to sell, wife, take less, our family is not short of money. He had a headache. This gold bar could not be sold in the county or town. 1 or 2 sticks is enough, but if there are more. Lack of money. Mei Shui shook her head, she was very short of money. How about taking 10 of them? Hians was afraid that his wife would sell them all. Not good. 15. Don't want. 20 gold bars. Hians hurriedly walked to Mei Shui and began to explain to her, just think, if we take so many gold bars and sell them at once, the boss is not stupid, and he will definitely lower the price. He dares. Mei Shui said angrily. Businessmen are all smart, be good, let's take 10. Hians coaxed patiently. You said 20 gold bars just now, why did it become 10 gold bars now? When Mei Shui heard that he had reduced the number of gold bars, she immediately stopped working. Seeing her petty temper, Hian smiled and said, okay, I'll listen to you, 20 pieces, or if there are more, I will take you to sell them elsewhere. What should I do if my daughter-in-law loves money? Mei Xiu thought for a while and became happy. Okay, I'll listen to you, but when will you go to other places and I will go with you? Hians was worried about this, and Hian's heart suddenly pounded. Daughter-in-law, I'm still on vacation. Can I tell you after I get to work, it's just time to take my wife out for a walk. Let her stop loving farming so much. His wife should enjoy her life well, but, if she didn't have these gold bars, would you be better than your wife? Not just like those landlords, but she is also similar to those young ladies. Okay. Mei Shui was a little disappointed. Taking the things they had chosen, with Xiaobai leading the way, the two of them left the cave. The cave was very deep, and they didn't feel it when they came in, but they felt it when they went out. After walking for so long, she still hasn't reached the exit. Now Mei Shui is no longer afraid of being discovered. By the time they came out, it was snowing heavily outside. The snow is particularly heavy this time, and I don't know if God will help them cover up the marks on the road. Xiaobai, try to hide here. If anyone finds out, I will stew you. Mei Shui threatened. Xiaobai looked aggrieved. Yes, there was an aggrieved look on the puppy's face. Looking at it, Hians became more and more suspicious that his dog was a monster. Mei Shui took the lead and left the top of the mountain. What can Hians do? Follow him. Xiaobai was left in front of the cave like this, a small figure with a big responsibility. The snow is blowing heavily, and there are fewer people walking outside. Mei Shui and Hians returned home covered in snow, and the smell of rice could be heard in the house. The two of them looked at each other and ran directly to the kitchen. Grandma, Grandma, we are back. Mei Shui was eager to make a contribution. Hians had a look of resentment on his face. He was still not as important as his grandma to his wife. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 147. Chapter 147, Grandma's Suspicion. "Grandma, give me back my wife," I cried in my heart. Grandma in the kitchen rushed out as soon as she heard Mei Shui's cry. "You know how to come back, I thought you were lost in the mountains." As soon as she came out, Grandma he immediately started complaining. She blamed them for returning late, especially when she saw her grandson. Grandma he's anger reached its peak. "When Hians went out, I told you not to come back too late. Don't be too late. Look at what time it is now." Clicked. Hians felt aggrieved. "Grandma, you obviously didn't say this when you went out." It turned out to be true. Grandma obviously didn't say it. "You dare to be so stubborn. I think your skin is very itchy." So, before Mei Shui could show what was in her arms, Grandma used the iron pliers again. Hians was still holding the bowl and plate in his arms, but he didn't dare to run too fast for fear of dropping the thing, which would make it difficult for his wife to do business. I could only be chased and beaten by my grandma. The road was slippery and I didn't dare to run too fast. You can imagine what the final result would be. In the kitchen, the three of them finally calmed down. Hians touched his with one hand and his leg with the other. He was hit several times in these two places and it hurt a lot. "Grandma has never seen you so partial. It's not my fault that you came back late. Is it your fault or mine?" Grandma he glared at Hians. "I think you just have an itchy skin and need to be cleaned up. You have the same character as in Liang." Mei Shui shouted happily at the side. That's right, she also wanted to drag her into the water, but she couldn't deal with it. "Grandma, Grandma, come here and see what this is." Mei Shui was afraid of making her grandma angry, so she quickly pulled the person to her side. Grandma he was a little confused. She just went out for a trip and could she bring back some gold? What is it? Putting her head out and looking into the clothes in front of Mei Shui, Grandma he was stunned. It took a while to react. "Oh my God, what have you done? Stealing other people's things. That's not right. No one in the village has these things at home." Grandma he was so frightened that she couldn't imagine it. Even though she was frightened, she didn't forget to take out a gold bar from her clothes and put it in her mouth to bite it. "This is real." Mei Shui smiled. "Of course it's true. If it's not true, why would I bring her back?" After getting along with her grandma for a long time, it was easy to see her change her face. Now seeing her grandma change her face again, it is really a long-lost feeling. "Tell me, have you stolen someone else's things?" Grandma he asked uneasily as she put down the gold bars in her hands. Hians came over and said, "Grandma, don't worry, this thing was not stolen. We found it on the mountain." Seeing his grandmother's worry, Hians explained aloud. Unfortunately, Grandma didn't quite believe him and looked at Mei Shui to get her confirmation. Hians died. "Grandma, I really found this on the mountain. Xiaobai found a cave and found it when we went in to avoid the snow. Don't worry, we didn't steal other people's things. Of course, there was nothing in the village that could make her miss it." "Of. That's good, that's good." Grandma he patted her chest, really afraid that the two of them would steal other people's things. "It's good that you didn't steal other people's things. Since you found it on the mountain, it belongs to our family. You too, remember it for me and don't let it out." "We know, Grandma, don't worry, we're not stupid," Hians responded angrily. "Hey, Xiaoxiu, I'm not worried at all. I'm just worried that you'll go out and play harp, then you'll buy me a piece of foundation and come back to see if I don't beat you to death." Unfortunately, Grandma he didn't know that her grandson not only bought the base, but also bought back the 3 hills behind the house. "No, don't worry, Grandma, I'll take all these things. If I don't give them to him, I'll leave them all for Grandma to play with." Mei Shui hurriedly expressed her filial piety. "I, Xiaoxiu, am still sensible. Be good, and Grandma will prepare something delicious for you later." She also had to add another dish to celebrate. During dinner, Grandma he discovered that there was one missing member of the family. Where's Xiaobai? Didn't he come back? Seeing that there was no Xiaobai in Xiaobai's place, Grandma asked a little worriedly. I seem to remember Xiaoxiu saying that Xiaobai led them to a cave and she had to give it some meat. Grandma, Xiaobai is still on the mountain and hasn't come back yet. He will come back by himself later, just leave the food for him, Mei Shui said without worry. Xiaobai is still trying to hide the entrance to the cave, and he hasn't come back yet. Oh, that's right. It was originally found in the mountains, so I wouldn't think it would freeze to death. After hearing Xiaoxiu's words, Grandma no longer worried. But she still saved Xiaobai's food, a big bowl full of meat. While eating, he praised Mei Shui for bringing wealth. As soon as she entered the house, her life at home changed. No matter how much you praise it, it doesn't feel the same enough. Hians only deserves to eat quietly. Grandma, let's repair the house after the Chinese New Year. You see, we are not short of money now. Mei Shui was frightened, and the snow collapsed in several places. Grandma, he thought about it and nodded. Okay, listen to Xiaoxiu, but you have to come back and Xiaoxiu and I won't be able to handle it. She was mainly afraid that Xiaoxiu would be too busy. Well, I know, I will ask the boss for leave when the labor union starts. Now that he has money, he is restless. In the past, he could try many ideas. He didn't go because he didn't have money. But now it's different. He has money and confidence, and he can try out many things. Fortunately, Mei Shui didn't know what he was thinking, otherwise she would never end it with him. Those were her gold bars and she was not allowed to spend them. In this way, the new year has ushered in the second day of the first lunar month. This is a good day, and children of all ages can start going out to pay New Year greetings. You can also walk around the streets. Xiaoxiu, please put away the toffee. We will keep those for ourselves. Take out more peanuts. When people come to visit us, just give them peanuts and fruit candies. Remember, don't give too much candies to one person, just 3 or 2. It's not that she is stingy, but why should she share her own things with others? I haven't seen anyone give her anything good. Meixiu listened to her grandma in everything. Okay, I'll go right away. Seeing Xiaoxiu's actions, Grandma He's face was filled with smiles. It was great to have such an agreeable granddaughter-in-law, who was much better than any other daughter-in-law in the place. She still has good taste. Grandma, guess who will come to our house first to pay New Year greetings? Hian sat aside and said with a smile. Grandma, he said the name without thinking. That brat Hian Liang must be the first one to come over. Just as Grandma he thought, as soon as Hian Liang finished eating, he took his things and ran to the third grandmother's house to pay New Year greetings. It's not far away, he ran all the way here. Asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 148. Chapter 148, Buying a Mountain. Hians wanted to say it was An Wen, but unfortunately, before he could say anything, shouts were heard in the courtyard outside. Third Grandma, Brother An's, sister-in-law, I'm here to wish you a Happy New Year. Hian Liang's voice came in from outside, and Hian's face immediately dropped. Humph, you brat, you need to be dealt with. Hearing what he said, Grandma he glared at him angrily. You should pay attention to me during the Chinese New Year, and be careful that Uncle Genkai gets in trouble with you. Forget it on weekdays. If you show off to others during the Chinese New Year, it would be uncomfortable. Third Grandma, Brother An's, I wish you a Happy New Year and good luck. Hian Liang ran into the main room and shouted to the people in the firebox with a smile. Happy New Year to An Liang, come in quickly and come to Third Grandma. In this era, people who are not direct relatives would not give money, so Grandma he had no intention of giving An Liang a red envelope. Here, I won't give these milk candies to anyone else. Grandma he grabbed a handful of milk candies from her bag and handed them directly to An Liang. Of course An Liang knew. Thank you, Third grandma in Liang was so happy when he received the candy. Third grandma was very special to him. Hians also grabbed a handful of fruit candies from the plate nearby and said, "Here you go. Sugar is considered a precious commodity in this era, and no one would give it to others. Even if there is, it won't be much." Hian's handful probably contains only a dozen or 20, which is not too few. "Thank you, brother." Ans and Liang also took it. When Mei Shui came out, she saw An Liang warming herself over the fire and eating sweets. "An Liang is here, Happy New Year." "Sister-in-law, I wish you a Happy New Year and may you get rich." Mei Shui smiled and took the small red envelope she had prepared last night in her hand. "Here you go, sister-in-law also wishes you to go to college. There wasn't much money in it, just 2 yuan, just for the sake of it." Not only does he have it, but Anshan Ankan and Anwen also have it. This is something she and Hians discussed yesterday. And Liang was shocked when he saw the red envelope. He glanced at the third grandma and found that the third grandma didn't even look at him playing with Xiaobai. And Liang breathed a sigh of relief and took it. "Thank you, sister-in-law." At this time, a voice came to An Liang's ear, "Don't go outside and talk nonsense. If I hear it, I will beat your ass." Grandma, he dared to say such a threat. "No, no." An Liang shook his head hastily, and his heart that was a little angry just now calmed down immediately. He believed that the third grandma would definitely keep her word. Not long after An Liang arrived, the voices of An Wen, Li Shuang, and Anshan Ankan came in from outside. "I also came here to pay New Year greetings to Grandma He and Mei Shui." Each person is carrying something in his hand. "Now that's good, I have to have a meal here at noon." The miserable Hians was arranged neatly and he went to cook. "And when, do you have any plans after the New Year, Grandma?" He just asked this question for fun. What plans do the villagers have? Other than farming at home? One sentence after another, everyone was very happy. Lunch was even more lively. When there were more people, the noise became louder, especially between An Liang and An Cheng. The noise of the fight could be heard down the mountain. Many people laughed and asked about An Cheng's parents. After learning that An Cheng was going to pay New Year's greetings to his third grandma, everyone had an idea in mind. No matter what the people in the village think, Grandma He lived a happy life. Hians went to work in the county town on the 8th day of the first lunar month. Before going to work, he also bought back the 3 hills behind his house from the village chief. When Grandma He found out about this, she used iron pliers again. Anyway, excluding the nightlife, Hian's days at home have always been exciting. He went to work this time also because he wanted to talk to Boss Zhu about asking for leave. Repairing the house at home was a big deal, and he really couldn't do it without him. Mei Shui was not able to come forward in many matters. He was afraid that she would be wronged. He didn't plan to stay in the county town for a long time, and he didn't even bring any clothes with him. After meeting Boss Zhu, Hians directly stated the purpose of his visit. Boss Zhu thought for a while. Business was average at this time, and there were enough people in the team. If he wanted to take leave, he could take leave. Besides, repairing the house was also a big deal. "Okay, then Ans, please take a month's leave. Remember to come to work then. I can't do without you here." Boss Zhu expressed his sincerity. "Okay, thank you, Boss Zhu, I will come." Of course, he would use the fleet to sell some gold bars later. Just like this time, he brought out 3 gold bars, and the money was used to repair the house. 3 mountains cost more than 3,000 points. The price is not high, but it is not low either. Hians was very dissatisfied because he didn't know what the village meant, but he had no choice. This thing came from the village, and he could only spend money if he wanted it. However, this incident also made him withdraw all the last bit of kindness he had towards the village. Don't even think about what the village chief said. Doesn't what you grow at home taste good? Grandma He also sighed when she found out. She had never had any illusions about the villagers. Fortunately, I bought it back, and then it will be up to people to open up wasteland. Mixue felt that more than 3,000 yuan was not expensive, and she had no idea. However, seeing her grandma unhappy, she became unhappy. Also give grandma some advice and ask Boss Jian not to accept their food when the time comes. Grandma laughed at this for several days. After settling the matters in the motorcade, Hians went to see Li Fei and the others again, told them about his family affairs, and asked them if they wanted to work with him at home. In any case, inviting others is also an invitation, and inviting them is also an invitation. When the two heard this, they immediately agreed. Li Yu wanted to follow, but unfortunately she still had to go to work. So, Hians came to the county town empty-handed, but when he returned, he was followed by two grown men. It was the first time for the two of them to go to Hian's house, so they bought a lot of things. Especially Fang Kai. The conditions of his family are much better than those of Li Fei's family. He was willing to buy a lot of food for the elderly and some cloth for his sister-in-law. It is spring after the beginning of the new year, and these cloths are good materials for making clothes. Hians didn't say much, just buy whatever you want. Before the Chinese New Year, the business made a lot of money. Li Fei has a lot of money to spend at home, but he is also not a little angry. He has bought all the gifts that he should bring when he comes to the house, so he will not be rude. In the village, the daughters of those who failed to return to their natal homes on the second day of the first lunar month all rushed back to their natal homes with their men and children. Like Lixia, Hongmei, and Yunhong, they all came back with their men and their children. Mixue is familiar with Sister Lixia, but the other two are not familiar with her, so she didn't go out. Yunhong is well married. Her man seems to be a bricklayer. He helps others build houses on weekdays. The family conditions are good, and her life is easy on weekdays. When Grandma he saw that Mei Shui didn't go out, she told her about this place on the mountain. It depends on several families. Please vote again, whether it is a recommendation vote or a monthly vote. If you have any, please vote for the author. Thank you, dear friends. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 149. Chapter 149, Happy New Year. Your sister Hong's life is a bit harder. She is a good man, but her mother-in-law is too mean-spirited and has a bad mouth, but her heart is not broken yet. She has enough food and clothing for her daughter-in-law. But the money in hand is very tight. It was really hard for Hong Mei that your uncle Jensi could take the medicine before. She will definitely come to our house when she comes back this time. Then you can give her children a piece of cloth. There was a lot of cloth left last time, so it's no problem to make 2 sets of clothes for the children. The family is rich, but Grandma he has no intention of giving any money, and she is not very close. If Anwen hadn't bought her a radio, she wouldn't have let Xiaoxiu be so kind to him and his wife. Heart is under the kite. Defenses cannot do without. Mei Shui nodded while listening, and asked some questions of her own from time to time. Is Sister Hong just a child? Grandma he shook her head. There are 2 of them. The eldest is a daughter, called Xiao Xiao, and the second is a son. He was only born last year and is more than 1 year old this year. She was born last year, over 1 year old. Mei Shui was a little confused. When Grandma he heard this, she realized that she was quick to talk. She was born the year before last. Look at my brain. Okay, this is not the point. Just give me a piece of dark cloth, a piece of cloth left over from making clothes. There are a lot of these cloth heads left at home, so it would be a good idea to give them away. Oh, okay, there was no use holding that thing by herself. If Aunt Milian hadn't been too embarrassed to take it away, she would have given it to Aunt Milian. Okay, they won't come to the door today, but they may come tomorrow. Mei Shui is not in a hurry when she arrives. Here Grandma he was explaining to Mei Shui, and the other families were also explaining to their daughters the affairs of Grandma he's house. The most grateful among them is Hung Mei's family. Hung Mei's man is a good man, and he also wants to help his father-in-law's family, but the situation of his family is not bad, and it is really difficult to continue to help. Now he is fine, my brother-in-law can stand up on his own, and the pressure on him is much less. Mom, we didn't get the third grandma to bring anything when we came back this time. Look at this. Hung Mei sincerely thanked the third grandma and her family. When Aunt Zillian heard this, she was happy and said, "No, you can take all these things to your third grandma later. There is no shortage at home now that the conditions are better. She has the confidence to be tough." The conditions were poor at that time, and her daughter suffered a lot of ridicule from her mother-in-law. Of course, she would not bear grudges against her in-laws. Her in-laws were so mouthy that they were not lovable. She really helped a lot with other things. This is not good. Hung Mei looked at her younger siblings, so she had an idea. When Li Shuang saw her eldest sister looking at her, she immediately laughed and said, "Don't worry, eldest sister, I won't have any objections. My third grandma and sister-in-law are very kind to me." After saying that, she lifted a digital watch from her hand. "Come out. Sister, look, my sister-in-law gave this to me. Not only hers, but also the Li Shuang on Anwen's hand was exposed. Anwen also has it." For some reason, Li Shuang had a hint of pride on his face, as if receiving a gift from his sister-in-law was a very proud thing. "Come on, don't show off, or your sister will be snatched away by you." Aunt Zillian came out and joked. Hung Mei felt relieved now. "No, sister-in-law, you have to hide it carefully, otherwise you will be robbed." After saying this, she laughed. "Sister, if you like to wait until Brother Ans comes back from the county next time, I will ask him to bring one for you and your brother-in-law. This watch is easy to recognize," Anwen said with a smile. He is sincerely grateful to his sister and brother-in-law. "I want it too, and Xiao Xiao wants it too." When Ma Xiao Chun saw everyone showing off, she immediately jumped up and shouted. Ma Xiao Chun is the eldest daughter of He Hung Mei and Ma Liming. She is only 4 years old this year. She looks more like her father, and her appearance is not bad. Plus, being neatly dressed, the little girl looks very popular. Xiao Xiao likes it. "How about I buy you a piece next time I go to the county town?" And Wen squatted down and looked at Xiao Xiao and said. Xiao Xiaok likes his uncle very much. Every time he sees his uncle, he can eat a lot of delicious food. "Okay, thank you, uncle." The little girl was very polite. The whole family made a decision amidst the laughter of the children. "Mom, Liming and I will take the children to the third grandma's house. Now that you've decided, let's take action. Hung Mei is a person with good mobility. Come on, take the kids with you. Your third grandma likes children more. You and Anwen will go there together, so that your third grandma won't know what to say." Third aunt is not very familiar with Hung Mei's family. Even their family was not very close to the third aunt's family before. It was only after Xiaoxiu came in that everyone finally got closer. "Hey, Mom, I know." So the sister and brother took the whole family and went to the third grandmother's house. Just as they were going out, they met An Liang and Lixia. "Sister Lixia, brother-in-law, you are back." Two daughters in the village were late returning to their parents' homes during the Chinese New Year, but they didn't expect to meet each other today. "Anwen, what are you doing?" Lixia held the child in her arms and opened her mouth to ask when she saw their family packed with bags. "Let's go to wish the third grandma a happy new year." "What are you doing?" Hung Mei laughed out loud. "Sister Hong, we are also going to pay New Year greetings to the third grandma. Let's go. We won't be able to catch up with the meal in a while." Lixia has been thinking about Xiaoxiu's cooking for a long time. Hearing this, Hung Mei couldn't tell that Lixia was familiar with the third grandma. "Okay, let's go and give New Year greetings to the third grandma first." At first, a few people increased the team size. Grandma He and Mei Shui didn't know that their home would welcome so many guests. The two of them were in the kitchen cooking the dishes for lunch. As soon as she heard the sound, Grandma He put down the iron tongs and walked out of the kitchen. "Who is it, who will come to celebrate the new year? Grandma, please open the door quickly. I'm exhausted." When someone came out, and Liang jumped up. There is no second person to take care of. Seeing this group of people, Grandma He had a big smile on her face and said, "Why are you all here? You all just got home today." She quickly stepped forward and opened the courtyard door. Now that the chickens are getting bigger, Grandma He is afraid that the chickens will escape, so she always keeps the yard door closed. But within a few days, when Boss Jian came, he let him catch the chickens. There were so many of them, they were very noisy and dirty. Go away, go away." While opening the door, he chased away the chickens that were running out. There are many chickens in the yard, but it is also very clean. I can't say there is no chicken at all, but at least I can walk. It's not like you'll be covered in chicken when you step on it. It shows how much Mei Shui and Grandma He love to be clean. This is why Mei Shui is in a hurry to buy a mountain. She wants to drive the chickens away from home. With the little whites around, I'm not afraid of them getting lost on the mountain. Happy New Year, third Grandma. We are here to wish you a Happy New Year." Hung Mei and her man stepped forward and said to Grandma He, not forgetting to pull out their children. Get your votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 150. Chapter 150, Three families came and two came. Please vote for recommendation. Hey, come in, and when didn't get a good look at her last time when she got married, and Grandma He didn't have her heart at all at that time. Lixia was not behind either. Third Grandma, Xiao and I are here to wish you a Happy New Year. Hee, is there anything delicious? Lixia pushed her son forward and handed him into Grandma He's arms. Grandma He was stunned and said, "You lazy idiot, give me the baby as soon as you come here. Don't you know how to hold it yourself?" Grandma He was so open-mouthed. Lixia didn't feel embarrassed at all. "Isn't it because I'm tired from being hugged? Being a grandma means you have to endure some hardships, so you can get used to it in advance." This mouth is comparable to her mother's. "You lazy boy, come in quickly, this is your man. I don't know why I blindly fell in love with you." Grandma He complained to Lixia's man. Wudazu is an honest man, he is good at carpentry, and now works in a firewood factory. His conditions are much better than most people in the village. Happy New Year to my third grandma. Well, come in quickly, and Liang, please come in and close the door. If one chicken escapes, you won't have a good time this year. Maybe she was too familiar. Grandma He called En Liang a poisonous name. And Wen and Li Shuang were very conscious and walked in early. I have been here several times, so there is no need to say hello. Mei Shui heard the noise outside. There were a lot of people. She finished her work and walked out. After seeing a group of people, she was a little confused. Does her family want so many people? It's very annoying. Sister-in-law and Wen and Li Shuang, who were walking in front, opened their mouths and called out when they saw Mei Shui. And Wen even introduced his sister and brother-in-law to Mei Shui. Sister-in-law, these are my sister and brother-in-law whom you met last time. Just because you've met them doesn't mean you remember them. Meixiu is this kind of person. She doesn't recognize anyone who is not familiar with her. Well, Sister Hong, brother-in-law, please come in quickly, it's cold outside. She also had two children with her. Mei Shui led them into the main room. There was a firebox here. There were so many people that it was impossible for them all to sit in, but they didn't know how to go in. Hey, thank you Xiaoxiu. This was the first time Hung Mei talked to Mei Shui, and she still felt a little uneasy. According to her mother, Xiaoxiu was the most capable person in the village. She is good-looking and can make money. When she sees her red girl, she feels inferior to others. After everyone came in, Mei Shui finally recognized her. Sister Lixia doesn't need to recognize him, she remembers and knows him. This is the first time Mei Shui has met her man, but he seems to be a man who lives his life. Her eyes are unmistakable. Mei Shui went into the house and took out melon seeds, peanuts, and candies. She won't move the toffee. Xiaobai just stayed in the kitchen and stared at the things in the pot. Why are you all here? Why don't you take a rest at home after sitting down, Grandma? He couldn't help but ask. Hung Mei smiled and said, I have to come here to pay New Year greetings to my third grandma first, and it will be the same when I go back for dinner later. The child in her arms licked the candy obediently. The third grandma is very clear-minded. She has never seen them come to pay New Year greetings in the past. Now, why they are here should not be too obvious. Thank you for still thinking about me. I'm very kind. You can take your things back later and spend time with your parents at home, Grandma, he said politely. Lixia was unhappy when she heard this. Third grandma, I bought these for you. How bad would it be to take them back? Look, these are shoes worn by an old man. You can't let my mother wear them. Lixia came prepared. Firstly, she likes Xiaoxiu, and secondly, the third grandma gave the children a red envelope last time. Even though the money was not much, it was still thoughtful. My third grandma is worried about her child, so she can't be that white-eyed wolf. So when she came back this time, she specially prepared a New Year's greeting gift for her third grandma. Not to mention how valuable it is, at least it's not her intention. Look, I bought this for Xiaoxiu. Only Xiaoxiu can wear it. You can't let me take it back for An Liang to wear. Lixia took out all the items one by one and shook them off. It's good to wear them for him, he looks good in them, Grandma. He smiled when she saw a pair of floral cotton shoes. And Lianku said, Third grandma wouldn't do this to you, so I didn't say anything today. He was so good, but he was still criticized by third grandma. He really had no place to complain. Besides, I heard my mother say that you like to eat toffee the most. I bought these specially for you. You can't refuse them. It's okay if you don't want them. Then I'll take them back and eat them. Lixia's mouth is so cute. After listening to it, Mei Shui secretly gave Sister Lixia a thumbs up. She's really awesome. Grandma, who could actually speak, was speechless. In comparison, Hung Mei is a little worse here. It's not that her stuff is not good, it's just that she doesn't have the heart. But no one brought it up. Okay, I can't keep it. I don't know how Dazo can bear this mouth, Grandma. He accepted it with a smile. Wang Dazo stood up immediately when he heard the third grandma mentioning him. You can bear it, Lixia is fine. Look, the honest man is in a hurry. At this time, everyone laughed, even Mei Shui, who didn't like to laugh very much, was amused. This brother-in-law is really fun. Of course I'm fine. Lixia was shameless. Hung Mei must also know that she has failed in her courtesy. Last time, she heard her mother say that her brother's marriage was all due to Xiaoxiu, but she felt that the borrowed money had to be repaid, so. Well, that's how human nature is. After the things were collected, Grandma he didn't ask for their things in vain. She asked Mei Shui to wrap 5 red envelopes in red paper, one for each of the 3 children and one for each of the 2 brothers-in-law. Hung Mei and Lixia don't have it. After receiving the red envelope, Lixia complained that the third grandma was partial. But she put the smile on her face away to look more like. They must have eaten at home at noon, and Mei Shui went to prepare lunch again. After lunch, these people left and went back. Mei Shui did not give away the cloth or anything like that. After giving the red envelope, she stopped giving anything. Previously, Grandma he thought that Hung Mei's conditions were worse, so she gave her what she had. But compared with Lixia, Grandma He and Mei Shui no longer had this intention. No matter what Grandma He and Mei Shui thought, Lixia was very satisfied and returned to her home with her child and man. As soon as she got back, she folded the red envelope and Aunt Milian slapped her in the face. "You kid, why are you so anxious? Who gave you this?" Lixia didn't care at all that she was a eldest child. "My third grandma gave it to me." She opened the red paper and found 5 pieces of unity inside. So many, Wang Dazu was shocked. And Liang glanced at it and smiled. "It must be my sister-in-law's idea of 50 yuan is a lot to give to a child. Zioxia gave it to me. No, no, I can't accept this money. It's so much. What if the third grandma scolds Zioxia later?" Lixia became anxious after hearing her brother's words. Seeing her like this, He Jiankei and Mei Lian laughed. "Don't go, what Zioxia gave you is what your third grandma meant, just keep it. 50 is indeed a lot." "How much did you buy your third grandma?" Aunt Mei Lian had a guess. Wang Dazu replied without thinking, "Almost 30 yuan." He was the one who raised these things, he knew it. I wish all teachers in the world a happy holiday. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 151. Chapter 151, Jealousy. Please vote. "That's it, you third grandma, don't dare to let you lose money. I'm afraid Hung Mei's side will be less, so you can't let it slip," Aunt Mei Lian reminded. Why, Lixia didn't know. Aunt Milian heard a few gossips when An Wen got married last time, but she didn't say much. "It's nothing, just write it down." "Okay, Xiao has fallen asleep, so hurry up and put him on the bed." He handed the grandson in his arms to his mother. Lixia didn't understand, but she believed her mother, so she didn't ask any more questions. Wang Dazu knows his in-laws' family very well. Now that he sees the big changes in his family, he will always ask a few more questions. He Jiankei and An Liang also told him what they could. An Liang is really good. It seems that he won't have to worry about going to college in the future. Wang Dazu was also happy for An Liang after learning about it. There is no need to worry. As long as he passes the exam, will the state give him money to go to school? Nowadays, if the state pays for college tuition, you only need to pay some living expenses. After graduating from college, the country is still divided into units. If you are lucky, you can eat the national food for the rest of your life. Of course, there are many like An Wen. "Dad, save some face." He An Liang looked aggrieved. "He will definitely go to college. As his sister-in-law said, the first 10 years of study are useless, but what about after 10 years? It can be used for great purposes. When the book is used, it will be less regrettable. You still want to save face?" "I didn't see it." He Jiankei was also made fun of by his son. Who doesn't want to lose face? And Liang's arrogant little look really needs to be dealt with. "Dad, An Liang is very good. I heard from his mother that his current grades are among the top 5 in the class." Wang Dazu is still very optimistic about this uncle. There are still 2 years left before the college entrance examination. "I hope he can get into a good university," He Jiankei said with a smile as Quan An Liang made his face bright. "Just wait, I will definitely pass the exam to Beijing," An Liang said with a longing look on his face. Compared to the harmony of the An Liang family, the An Wen family is not so harmonious. Hung Mei sent so many things, but I didn't expect that the third grandma would have such a good chat with Lixia. To be honest, she was jealous. Fortunately, An Wen and Li Shuang are very good at dealing with each other. Otherwise, listening to Hung Mei's complaints, she would probably have some thoughts about the third grandma. "Sister, please stop talking. Third grandma is not familiar with you." Sister Lixia is more familiar with sister-in-law who doesn't know that third grandma loves her sister-in-law the most. As long as she has a good relationship with sister-in-law, third grandma will think highly of her. An Wen has a headache. The third grandma is very kind to their family. I haven't told you yet. You are so generous to spend 300 yuan to buy a radio for my third grandma. For some reason, she became very angry when she thought about this. It's so expensive, 300 yuan, not 30 yuan, just give it. The money borrowed was only 500, and more than half of it was given away at once. Li Shuangshuang was so surprised that she opened her mouth wide. She did not expect that her aunt would have such an idea. Sister, don't you know what kind of life our family would be like without my third grandma and sister-in-law? We can live the life we have now because of the winemaking skills taught by my sister-in-law and the money she got from selling snakes with brother and Wen. Li Shuangshuang originally wanted to be gentle, but the eldest sister kept complaining that her gifts were too heavy, etc., which made her feel uncomfortable. Hung Mei looked at Li Shuangshuang and stared. If your family hadn't asked for 500 yuan, would our family have needed to borrow money from others? He, this person has forgotten his roots very much. Unexpectedly, she looks honest, but she looks like her grandma. Fortunately, grandma he didn't know. If she knew, she would definitely say that the foundation is rotten and she can't care for her. Aunt Zillian's face dropped when she heard this. She was very satisfied with this daughter-in-law. Hung Mei, why did you talk? Your brother didn't blame you for talking too much in her heart. As long as and when is willing, it will be done, and others are not qualified to question it. Li Shuangshuang was furious and said, Mom, I'm a little tired. I'll go back to the house and take a nap first. She didn't want to quarrel, and she was already prepared to be criticized by others. I didn't expect that the first person to say this about myself would be my eldest sister. And Wen grabbed Li Shuangshuang and said, Sister, you shouldn't say Shuangshuang like that. We didn't do anything wrong in giving the radio to the third grandma. Without the third grandma and sister-in-law, our family might not even be able to have a full meal now, let alone talk about treating dad and getting me married. Now our family's conditions are better, but the prerequisite is the skills I learned. Did I know how to make wine before? Did I know how to catch snakes before? No, I don't know how. Even if we go to Chaotian Mountain, we only dare to go because my sister-in-law followed suit. Go and ask, how many people are jealous, but how many of them can succeed in the end? After finishing speaking, An Wen looked at his wife. I chose both of them myself. I spent my own money to marry them. I hope I will pay attention to this in the future. I am willing to spend more money to marry her. After saying that, An Wen took Li Shuangshuang's hand and left the main room together. Hung Mei opened her mouth wide. She didn't expect her brother to talk to her like this. Ma Liming also looked at his daughter with some disapproval, then took his son from her arms and pulled Xiao Xiao. Mom and Dad, I will take the children to have a nap, otherwise they will not be energetic in the afternoon. I didn't even pay attention to Hung Mei. Hung Mei didn't pay attention to herself when she saw the person leaving, and immediately burst into tears. Aunt 11 Lian didn't try to persuade her, and He Jianxi also ignored this daughter. In the past, her family relied on her to survive. Karen must remember their feelings. Hasn't third aunt helped their family enough? Just because your third aunt talks to Lixia more, you feel resentment in your heart. This is wrong. He, a person who has never gone to school, knows this. After Hung Mei had finished crying, He Jianxi looked at her and said, in the past, my family was all thanks to you. Your mother and I were incompetent and couldn't even afford to support our family. Let's do this. Let your mother give it to you when you leave. $500 is what we owe you. After saying that, He Jianxi walked out. Aunt Zillian didn't say anything when she heard this. She had no objection to giving money to her daughter, but she was afraid that both of them would have objections. After 500 of the family's money was taken away, there really wasn't much left. Mom Hung Mei shouted with a look of grievance. It's useless to call me. I know what you have in mind. You just feel unbalanced and feel that Lixia has stolen your limelight, but you don't even look at what Lixia has prepared. Yes, what she prepared is not as valuable as yours, but does your third grandma's family lack this kind of money? No, she doesn't lack it, what she lacks is her heart. When you came back, you didn't think of thanking your third grandma, did you? Aunt Zillian looked at her daughter with a disappointed look on her face. In the past, the conditions at your third grandma's house were among the worst in the village, but so what? Ans is upbeat and capable, and even after marrying a wife, she can do it. It's your turn. Get up at grandma's house. After speaking, Aunt Zillian looked at her daughter, and the meaning was very clear. Is there anyone who is worried about Teacher's Day gifts? After 4 hours of shopping, I finally got it ready, alas. Come and comfort me, please give me recommendation votes, please give me monthly votes, and please give me rewards. End of this chapter.